Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to install a Flatland Racing radiator guard for the Honda CRF300L. This comes from CRF300L.com. They sent me this to review and to make an install video for them. So I'm not getting paid a dime on this, but I sure appreciate it. This is probably the heaviest one I've ever seen. I actually had a radiator guard on my CRF250L from Flatland Racing years ago, but it was not near as beefy as this thing. This thing is like insanely tough looking, and you want to protect your bike from falling over. It's not just for crashes. This thing is made to protect it from a side impact, a front impact, and to also protect anything from poking into your radiator. So if you go in the woods or whatever and you get a tree limb, to keep from jabbing in and poking a hole in your radiator and ruining your trip, your weekend, your day. So this thing is super tough, super durable. CRF300L.com has these. I'll post a link below where you can check them out. So let's go ahead and give it the install and stick this thing on here and check it out. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is remove some screws. We got one right here, and one right here. And these are M5 Allens. We also have a little snap pin right in behind here to push and remove it. So they may just push in on the center of them. They'll unlock and then just pull it out. Then we should have some lock fast right up here, I believe it is, that holds this on. So if you like, you can remove your seat to do this, but you can actually just pull this out enough that you can get to this one here, just like the front one. And this should just slide just out like that. So now we have exposed our radiator. This is the little cheap flimsy guard that comes with it. Very simple to take it off, just like so. And it's just clipped in, and you can see this one is very, very cheap made. It does a good job of directing air into it, but it's just so flimsy. There's no protection whatsoever. You have no protection from pushing back on your radiator, no protection from side or jabbing a tree limb through it. So with the Flatland Racing radiator guard, you can see this thing is extremely heavy built. That's some really thick aluminum, and it also has the side protection, which it has these bars in here to prevent crushing if you fall on your side. And it also has these, so it has to be a pretty small stick that would jab through that, and these bars are very strong. And then we have this brace right here, which bolts on to the side here, and what this does is protect it from the front impact pushing back on this, because it's going to be braced to our frame. It's going to make it extremely solid. Okay, so right here's all of our hardware that comes with it. Everything you can see right here. This is the clamp that's going to go on the frame. This is the bolts that's going to hold this clamp together. Then we have the two bolts that will replace the bolts in the radiator. This is the bottom shroud replacement bolt. Then we have these three bolts that hold this bracket to here and to the frame mount. Okay, we need to remove our two radiator bolts right here. You can use a 8mm socket or a T-handle like this if you have one. Okay, so now we're going to just install this like so, and we will not be using the hex bolts. We'll be using the Allen bolts that they provide to replace them with. They're a little bit longer, and we'll use these flat washers also. Okay, so for putting this back on, you'll need something with a long reach. I've just put together some extensions, a flex extension that I have. So we'll reach back in here and put these Allen bolts in. So we're going to take these two we don't need. So the way this will go is we'll take our Allen bolt, put it through here. Our flat washer will go on the back side, like original. Then we'll take our Allen, put it through, and we can start the top bolt and get it started. We don't want to tighten none of this up yet till we're ready to make sure that the bracket's bolted on the back. So now we'll take our bottom bolt the same way as we did the top. We'll run this and then just snug it down by hand. Okay, now what we want to do to get this lined up, we'll put a couple bolts right here in the front, just loosely, and that will be our short Allen bolts. So now we take our frame mount. One side is tapered for these screws, so that will go on the outside. The other one that's threaded goes on the back side. We need to put it around the frame. Make sure that our wire that's right here goes behind it so it won't be interfering. We take these bolts. I'm just going to start it in for right now. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and put some red thread locker on these, just to be certain that they don't come out in the future. Just a drop will do. And now we want to slide this up until we can line this up to where our bolt will go right here. And that's where we want to tighten it. These bolts right here are a 4mm Allen. And just to hold this in place until I get the one snug down, I want to just start this in just a little bit just to hold it in place. And now we can go ahead and run these down. Like so. I can take this out now, remove my brace out of the way, and I can go ahead and run this one down. You could actually torque these if you wanted to, but as long as they're really tight, you're not going to have to worry about that. Just don't tighten them so tight you break them off. And now our brace should fit right on there. And we want to do the same thing on these, and we want to put some thread locker on all 3 of these bolts. Just a drop on each one is all you need. And we don't want to tighten these 2 down until we get the rear one in also. These are also 4mm. Okay, so now I want to take an actual ratchet. Make sure these are tight. Be careful. If you got a long ratchet, you could actually bust these off. You don't want to do that. Them are pretty tight already. And now is when we can go ahead and tighten up our front 2 bolts. Same way, you don't want to tighten those so tight that you bust them off. So now we are ready to install our shroud back on here. Very simple. Just do it in reverse order that you took it off. Once you put the fast lock here clicked in, it's not going to go anywhere on you. And then you can install your push peg in the rear, like so. Now we can install the factory bolt back in here. Now on our bottom bolt here, they do supply you with a 10mm hex head bolt to replace that because it's not going to be long enough, and a bushing that goes behind. And I'm going to install a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolt down here. Put our spacer behind, insert our bolt, and then it will go right into the original hole in the radiator where the factory bolt went, with just a 10mm socket. Okay guys, that is it for the install of the Flatland Racing radiator guard for the Honda CRF300L. This thing is super beefy. It is solid as a rock, so you ain't going to push it back like the factory. You're not going to cave it in from the side, and you're not going to have to worry about sticks jabbing through this way. Super solid. CRFsonly.com is where you get these. Thank you all for watching. Click the thumbs up. Check out the link below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Ride on.